It's time, guys, for your season 5 review all lost. We've only one more season to review, and that's me done this show that's got a fucking shit ton of episodes. But aye, man, let's dive in to episode 1, and this one is called Because You Laugh. So, aye, 5 times 01. And this season is all over the place. I mean, there's points where you're in the 50s, you're in the 80s, you're in the 70s. I actually like all that stuff, right? Like, obviously, it's very drastic. It's like a drastic change to have like to what the show was at the start. But I feel like cause it's on an island, it kind of needs to be like that. So I've actually no problem with it. I think some people though definitely would prefer the earlier seasons where things were definitely more normal rather than the later seasons. I can see why, but I mean, I probably still prefer like the first season because it is far more of a mystery now. It's like everything's been revealed essentially, so it's definitely less of a uh, mystery. But yeah, during this, essentially what happens in this episode, we've got Jack and Benjamin trying to start their quest to reunite the Oceanic Six, which it doesn't sound that bad, the Oceanic Six, but to me it just sounds like a Poundland version of the Fox River 8. You know, and I've no problem with them going back to the island. Cause fuck, I wanted them to go back. I wanted to see all the characters reunite, but I don't know. Like spending 4 seasons to you know, get off the island, and then like within 5 episodes they're back on the island. I don't really know if I'm a fan of that, but we basically get to see the Dharma Initiative throughout the years. We see the others as well. Ethan shoots John in this episode, and then he basically gets patched up by Richard. But due to the whole island getting shifted, they're completely jumping back and forth here between like different time periods. They go back to when like we see Charles Whitmore when he was young. We see Eloise, Daniel Faraday's mother, when she was young. We see all the stations, some of them getting built, some of them not even existing. Meanwhile, though, back in 2007, two lawyers deliver a court order to Kate, basically demanding a maternity test for her and Aaron, obviously, because I mean it's not her child, it's Claire. Will we see Claire? We don't see her in this season, so I'm not 100% sure. Hang, Saeed basically saves Hurley. This I actually like the whole dynamic of Saeed and Hurley in this episode, but it gets revealed at the end of the episode that the body that was in the funeral parlor that Ben and Jack are stabbing over is none other than John Locke. And also during all this, we see like what happens at like Sawyer. We've got Sawyer, Miles, um, Juliet, Daniel, and Charlotte. That's basically our group on the island, but they're stuck in the 70s at this point. John is also stuck in the 70s with them, even though like in 2007 he's dead, but I mean he's stuck in the 70s in that timeline essentially. Um, Daniel manages to warn Desmond, who's back on the island, because I think they were actually like at a point. I think they were like 2004 here before the plane crashed, but then they end up being stuck in 1977 later on as the season goes on. But basically, Desmond wakes up, having remembered what Daniel told him, and now he has to go to Oxford to meet Daniel's mother. So aye, bang bang, good night for him. Essentially, but yeah, I mean this season is like it's not a hard watch, but I feel like it is like borderline confusing. There's so much more like going on. Like you do need to pay proper right pay proper attention. That's the word we're going for. I mean, as like the earlier season goes on, basically we see Sun. She confronts Charles Whitmore, and also Jin is still alive. But it turns out that the Flash that he's stuck in is 1988, and that is he's with Russo and her kid, but her entire crew gets wiped out, which is it was pretty cool to see how that happened. I like the stuff like you may as well play up on the stuff that's been referenced throughout the show, you know. So that gives it completely fills out that backstory because it would actually be cool to watch the show in like chronological order. But then again, it wouldn't make much sense if you watched it in chronological order, you know. But I think there could be a way you could edit it where it would you know be good. But during all this, Saeed is knocked out. He's injected. with these darts, and Hurley manages to take him back to his house here. But yeah, it's during all this where Juliet and Sawyer are basically captured by a bunch of armed military men. So it looks like this is the point where they're stuck in, like, I think it's like the Korean War era, essentially. But Big John manages to save them here, which was interesting, big man. During all this, though, we get Sun forgiving Kate for leaving her husband Jin on the boat. Meanwhile, Kate also leaves Aaron with Sun that she's got some business to attend to, motherfucker. And then Ben visits Mrs. Hawkins. She basically says that he only has 70 hours to return to the island with Locke's corpse and as many as the Oceanic Six as possible. But how many will Ben get? I mean, that's what I don't get. Like, I mean, how the fuck is this Ben guy still alive? I just feel like he should have died. Like, there's just been so many points where it gives me like teabag syndrome from Prison Break, where like the guy could have literally died about 20 times, but he just didn't. You know. And I guess that's the bottom line. But yeah, then we get Desmond going on his search. We see him confronting what's his name? Whitmore. Fucking what's his first name? I was going to say Duncan Whitmore. It's no fucking Duncan Whitmore. Charles Whitmore, that's it, man. We also see that he has a kid, a boy with Penny, so that was good seeing that. And it's during this episode we get the whole discovery of the hydrogen bomb. So I think we're in what, 1954 here. John basically confirms to Richard that he's from the past, and this Richard guy just doesn't age. But see, I was actually thinking that maybe the island just has a gimmick of not aging people, because no one's really aged on the island. Like, I get it, it's a TV show, it's based over like what, 2004, 2009. At this point, it's only 5 years, but like you see in other TV shows, they go for proper aging. Well, no one else really has aged, but I guess most of the characters, some of them like have spent 3 years off the island, so that would explain why they've hid here. But there's a bunch more time flashes and discovered that the hydrogen bomb has actually ended up buried. But we've seen a young Eloise here with Charles Whitmore as well. But it turns out they actually end up being the Geller, and that is actually Charles Whitmore is the father of Daniel Faraday, which I thought was a bit mad. And then yeah, next couple of episodes, Charlotte is the first to die basically of the side effects of the whole time change, and she gets like a hemorrhage, a brain hemorrhage or whatever. But the rest of the group, and it's basically whoever's been exposed to the island the most dies. Like Daniel's been on, like Charlotte was brought up on the island but took off at an early age, while Miles was only a baby when he was on the island. Faraday's been on it through flashbacks. I'd assume that Eloise gave birth to him on the island as well. Well, you know, the likes of Juliet, she's been on the island longer than Sawyer, but it makes total sense for Sawyer to be the last one out of them to get nosebleeds, and that's exactly the way it worked out. Meanwhile, though, Kate discovers that someone knows the truth about the whole baby not being hers, and then her and Jack manage to track down who it is. It's actually Claire's mother, but it turns out she has no idea, that she's just there for a lawsuit for Oceanic 815, which is pretty insane. I mean, I just assumed at this stage that would be it, but then it turns out the guy who is trying to take Aaron off Kate is actually Ben. But during this whole confrontation, we see Sun is watching them with a gun in the car park. We've also got Saeed there, and Hurley looks like he'll be released, because it was funny, Hurley basically decides to get himself arrested in order to get away from bed, which was pretty funny. Also, during all this, we get, like at the start of this season, we get them all getting refueled, like rescued and all, making up their story. But I mean, there's not an awful fucking particularly an amount going on there, big man. But and then back on the island, we've got some time skips that they've brought them to 2004. We see Sawyer sees Kate helping Claire give birth. So this was like, I mean, you know, we also get the death of Boone. It was the same night, which I completely forgot about. But then, yeah, 1988, and then that's when we get the whole stuff with Jen. But no, I mean, I've already kind of explained most of that anyway. Right, then the next couple of episodes was kind of just goes into crazy town. Locke basically is told he has to, like he was told earlier on in the season that he has to kill himself in order to bring the Alvars back to the island. So he goes doing this well, but the time it flashes during this, Sawyer's trying to help him. He's pulling a rope, but ends up leading nowhere. John falls, breaks his leg in the progress. Like, no one. I'm not saying you can't say anyone's better than Sawyer, but for me, Sawyer's the fucking MVP of this show. He's fucking, he's always helping people. He's always getting stuck in, and he's always laying the smack down. You know, and he actually like makes an attempt to help everyone. You know, obviously, right, like more towards the start of the show, he was selfish, but see now, I'd say he's probably by far the least. He's always looking to help. You know, and I completely a 180 from what he was at the beginning. You know, and then basically John manages to do it. Looks like he sacrificed himself. It actually turns out he wakes up in the desert where Ben woke up. But aye, he stopped the shifts, but the only thing is they are now stuck on the island in 1974. And it turns out they join the Dharma Initiative. Miles, Sawyer and Juliet and co, which I think is absolutely insane. It turns out they lived a pretty normal life for 3 years. But then shit quickly hits the fan because the Oceanic Six are back on this plane flight. We also seen like a phone call where Ben was like beaten badly. But we never kind of got revealed what that was. Like, we did see that Ben told Whitmore that he would kill his daughter, but we never like assumed that. And then we see later on this season that he actually attempted to kill Penny. He shot Desmond, but Desmond actually battered him and threw him into the lake. And then Desmond got rushed to hospital. He did survive, and then there was a confrontation there between Eloise and Penny. So Desmond barely, like, Desmond, like, he's not really been in this show a lot, like, has he? I mean, alright, he was at the start of season 2, the end of season 2. Season 4, he was on the freighter, not doing much. Season 3 is definitely the one where he was the most active, and in this season he was barely in any of it. But I do feel like when Desmond's in it, that they are the better episodes of the show. That's just my opinion. It'll be interesting to see what will happen in season 6, though, with him. But yeah, the Oceanic Six, they get aboard the flight, and then it crashes. But Sawyer, Jack, not Sawyer, Hurley, Jack, and Kate are the only three to flash off the plane. So they actually disappeared before it crashed. But it kind of makes no sense to me in a way, because why are those the three that only go back in time? Why Sun not going back in time? Why's Ben not going back in time? You know? Oh, and Saeed also went back in time, but like for me, I could accept Ben not being going back in time because he's the one that put the whole shitstorm in motion, so maybe he could be immune to it. But why Sun? She was there. I'm trying to think of a point where she was split up for the rest of the group once, like when Ben moved it, you know. So that doesn't really make much sense to me. I mean, will they explain it in season 6? It never actually does get explained. But aye, they're stuck in 1977. Then we get like the whole reunion thing with we get Sawyer reuniting with Kate, Jack, and the rest of the gang. I mean, it was a good scene, but I feel like these reunions have been done that long, it kind of took away for this one a bit. Despite the fact that like this was like a proper one, because this is like after like 3 years, you know, so it probably should have meant a bit more. Then we get the life and death of Jeremy Bentham, Locke, and it turns out that Ben's actually the one that killed him. He was going to kill himself after he couldn't convince any of them to come back, but then we see the suicide note that he wrote to Jack. He's like, I wish you believed in me, Jack. But yeah, Ben, in fact, is the one that killed him. But then it turns out that John's still alive, which Ben can't believe. And then we do get the whole LaFleur episode where basically we see how the guys that were left behind the island joined the Dharma Initiative, and now they're living in 77. So that was a really good episode. The it's not even a flashback episode. It's just Sawyer basically how he's the head of security, and I just feel like Sawyer episodes are really good. Same with Desmond episodes. I guess it helps though if you like those characters. Then we get Ben, no, not Sun, and Frank, the pilot, who's in this season actually quite a lot. They go back to the main island because the plane actually landed on the much smaller island, which the runway was built on, which is a bit mad in itself. Then we get like Ben and Locke confront each other, and Ben actually can't fucking believe that Locke's still alive. And but it's like, why wouldn't Locke kill Ben? It's like it makes a bit more sense at the end of the season, which we'll get to, I guess. But well. But yeah, meanwhile, Juliet and Sawyer are still alive, and it's kind of awkward to a degree because obviously you've got Kate and Jack there. No, and then yeah, then we get Saeed, who gets captured, and then he actually shoots young Ben. Thinks he killed him, but it's so stupid. He shoots him in the stomach. I guess, right? You shot a kid in the stomach, you would assume that he's dead, but then it turns out he's alive, and then basically Sawyer and Kate save Ben by handing him over to Richard and the others, and then Richard's like, "This will fuck this little boy up, boy," which is funny. But yeah, Saeed manages to escape during all this commotion. Meanwhile, we get John. He basically takes over the camp back in 2007 on the island. So yeah, he's basically leading Richard's son and Ben and that entire group. Meanwhile, there's like another group with Alana. They're carrying a thing that they feel something to Frank, and he's kind of wondering, what the hell is going on? But yeah, Ben is rescued. Not rescued. He's saved. Essentially, the others manage to save him. They put him in to the fucking time. Not time. The temple. And during all this, we did get like some flashbacks essentially with like Sawyer's daughter Clementine. We get like Kim Dickens' character back, but then we get like funny scenes with like Miles and Hurley when they're trying to explain the time travel. So it seems like they're kind of taking a dig at it themselves, but it's like, how come all this stuff's happening, but none of the characters that are off this island in the future, know about it? But yet, like, how can Richard remember all this stuff and people like that, but yet, no matter what these people do, they won't remember it in the future? It is kind of a bit confusing. Like, it definitely leaves plot holes, but I think the show kind of gets away with it because the whole island is a mystery, but well, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's still still great to watch as a spectacle, but I feel like some people may completely just be fucking blown off by this, like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, during this, Ben, though, he has to be judged by the smoke monster, motherfucker. And the monster basically doesn't do anything to him, and then he sees flashbacks of his daughter Alex, and then Alex confronts him and says that he has to listen to everything John Locke does and that he cannot kill him. And then Ben basically agrees, and then his life is fucking gets spared. And it was during this episode as well where he actually botched killing fucking Desmond's wife, and also we get the whole flashbacks with him taking Danielle's baby. So yeah, I mean, this was a proper fucking Ben episode, what was it, Dead is Dead, I think, so to speak. But then we get into episode 13. At this stage, you've only got like 5 episodes left, and 2 of them are essentially the finale. So essentially it's just kind of just the one episode, but it's good seeing this. And then basically I kind of put 2 and 2 together that Miles was the son of the big Dr. Chang guy. We also see Dean Norris Hanks in this, which I thought was pretty funny. So we basically get a flashback episode with Miles and how he met the people in the freighter and how he was getting told. But then he was met by the people who actually end up in the island. They're carrying that crate, and they told him not to go because we're the good guys. And then we get multiple, and then we see Frank seeing the body as well. Don't know if it was this episode. It's kind of hard to keep track when you haven't written any of this down, but I'm getting there, guys. I'm fucking getting there. Meanwhile, Phil confronts Sawyer because he's seen security video of Sawyer taking the boy, and then Sawyer knocks him out, which I thought was pretty fucking funny at this stage of the game. Meanwhile, we have the return of Daniel Faraday at the end of this episode because he actually left the island during the 3 year 74 to 77, and then he comes back here, and basically Miles recognizes him, and then he says it's been a while since we've seen each other. So yeah, Faraday returns to the island. But how long does Faraday last, guys? Well, I'll tell you, he does not last very fucking long, because this is called the variable. And then the flashback that we seen of him talking to Chang, which was like, it seems like fucking 10 seasons ago at this stage, actually plays out here, where they're drilling into that pocket of energy, but Chang says that they can't do that anymore. guess at that stage of the game, but I keep on saying that stage of the game, motherfucker. But yeah, Daniel basically says he can sort out their problems, get them back to the present. None of this ever happened. It's kind of confusing to keep along to, but I can kind of get what he was going for, you know, with the whole bomb stuff, blah blah blah. Good night. I can talk to my mother in the past. Dead of night, the hydrogen bomb. But he shows up to the others. There's like a couple of shootout scenes this episode were pretty badass, but he shows up to confront Richard. But Eloise actually shoots Daniel in the back, and then he reveals to her that he's in fact her son, and she sees the book that he has. It basically has her handwriting in it, talking about him and stuff. But then he basically says to her, the reason you sent me here because you knew I was going to die on the island, and you sent me anyway, because we obviously in the future she basically told him to go to the island, encouraged them to go to the island. Also, yeah, it's this episode it's revealed that he's actually also the son of Charles Whitmore. But it's like, so she knew he'd die on the island by going back to the island, but if he died here, then what? But I guess it doesn't matter because he's going to be born again. It's kind of like, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, at this point, it's like, oh, we've got 6 hours to the catastrophic event that's going to happen at the Swan Station. Then basically we get Eloise visiting Penny here and Desmond, but then basically Charles shows up and he's like, I am not visiting my daughter. My daughter. Ha 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 ha. So I actually liked that. I mean, it was weird for them to bring Faraday back and just kill him. Like, he was a weirdo, like, but he was like kind of a cool weirdo in a way. You know? And then episode 15 is kind of where shit hits the fan, because it's decision time for Jack and Kate. Because in this episode, they're basically trying to go through with Faraday's plan, but they end up getting caught by others. But then they get saved by Saeed, who has been disappeared for like 5 episodes. At this stage, Kate compares Jack though to John Locke, who basically Jack once regarded as crazy, and you know what, he's not fucking wrong. Kate though decides, well, you know what, I'm actually going to go back with Sawyer and Juliet, but during all this they're actually being held captive by Horace. Sawyer does not answer any of Rosinski's questions. He gets severely beaten here, and then Phil steps up and hits Juliet, which obviously sets off Sawyer. Like, I mean, just this Dharma group, I mean, they're fucking, there's just nothing to them. Well, I mean, they're like, some of them are interesting characters, but I'm talking about in terms of like fucking like physical presence. I mean, they're all like a bunch of nerdy bastards that Sawyer would batter fucking hands down, one-on-one. You know? Sawyer then ends up making a deal about it'll leave on the submarine in exchange for telling them what they want to hear. And then Kate appears too, and they all get put on the submarine in handcuffs as it actually departs. Meanwhile, we're back in 2007. Basically, John is trying to get them to the island. No, not the island. Jacob on the island. And then Richard reveals that all his friends, all your friends, and talking about Jin here to Sun, he watched all of them die. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But then he says to Ben, John, that it's not to ask Jacob for help, but it's for you to kill him. It's like, whoa, holy fuck, what's going on here? What's going on here, buddy? And then we get in to the finale. And it's just like, holy good fuck. What a finale. Absolute crazy stuff here. And this is where we get introduced to this Jacob guy. Where basically, he has a run-in with everyone. Hurley, Sawyer, Kate, Jack. I mean, basically at all ages as well. You know? I don't know, it's just, I don't really know what the whole fucking gimmick is here with this guy. Like, is he like fucking the second coming of God or something? I don't fucking really know. Or Jesus, something along those lines. We also got a flashback with Juliet, where basically her parents get divorced, claiming that they love each other, but they were not meant to be together. Will that compare or, you know, mean anything with anything else in this episode? But yeah, and then Kate decides, oh, you know what, we should actually go back to the island and stop Jack for detonating the hydrogen bomb. And then Juliet fucking decides, alright, why not? And then Sawyer's like, okay. Then they basically force the captain to surface, and then they go back on the island on a boat. They return on the island, and they are greeted by Vincent the dog. And it's like, oh, Vincent is back. And then we get reunited with Rose and Bernard, who are just completely fucking just weird. Like, it turns out the Dharma barracks are 5 miles from where they are, which kind of makes no sense. Like, how the fuck have you not been seen in 3 years at that stage? But aye, then we get Jack and Sayid dismantling the hydrogen bomb underneath the barracks in order to remove its core and in order to be able to move it to the whole detonating fucking zone. So yeah, they go with Eloise and Richard, but Richard then knocks her out and says that these two have to now go alone. But then Roger recognises Sayid and then ends up shooting him. So Sayid's here bleeding out, but then Hugo and Jen show up and save them. They're driving, but as they're about to get to the Swan station, they are stopped by Juliet and Sawyer and Kate. And then we get Sawyer. This was like a really good scene here to start off like the part 2 of the finale, where Jack and Sawyer like they're discussing stuff, and Sawyer basically says, "What's done is done. They shouldn't change the past." And then Jack starts talking about his destiny, and Sawyer's like, "I don't talk destiny," which is funny. And then they get into a fist fight, you know, because Jack basically says he wants to do it because he loves Kate, but then Sawyer tries to explain to him, if we go back to just that plane that we were supposed to land in LA, none of us will know each other, you know? Why not just let us be? And then Jack says, nope, he's going to still blow up, and then Sawyer's like, well, okay. But then Sawyer, I mean, Jack had the better of Sawyer, but then Sawyer ends up getting the upper hand here, and then Juliet breaks it up. And then fucking Juliet decides, well, you know what, I've changed my mind, and tells Sawyer that I love you, but we're not meant to be together, basically echoing our parents, and says that if they never meet them, we'll never have to lose them. Oh yeah. And then yeah, the drilling is forced now, and yeah, Kate has also agreed to help Jack here because we need to get the baby back to Claire. And it's like, how many fucking face and heel turns are we going to do in this show towards the end? Kate literally just jobbed out Jack, heads back, and then fucking flip-flops about 10 times during all this. But yeah, then as they get there, Jack throws the bomb down, there's a gunfight, but they manage to get the upper hand on Dharma, but the bomb doesn't go off, but the drill hits the energy source at the same time, which I believe stops the nuke to go off, and then every metal object in the area gets dragged down. Dr. Chang's arm is crushed, but his son Miles manages to save him. Phil dies here, he gets hit by a rebar, and then Juliet is dragged in by a chain. This is like a really sad scene. Sawyer tries to save her, but Juliet then professes her love for him, and then she basically decides to let go. But then it turns out that she actually survived the fall, and then detonates the nuke herself, and then basically the screen then fades to white, and we're kind of wondering what the fuck's going on. But I mean, I don't know how big the fall was, but it literally looks like 300 feet or something. It's like, come on. I could maybe have bought it. You know, like, I guess you could argue the chain caught her and maybe stopped her from completely hitting like a 300-foot dead drop fall. But I don't know, man. I just feel like there would have been a better way. She actually survives the fall. I don't know, man. It seems a wee bit fucking ridiculous. To me, though, meanwhile, back in 2007, Ben kills Jacob, which I didn't really care for this, to be honest. Like, but at the same time, I guess it's revealed here that Jacob immediately recognizes John as the guy from the start. Was it episode 16 or 17? The guy who's Jimmy O, essentially recognizes him, who said he'd kill him one day. And it turns out he's actually been using John Locke's appearance to get the job done here, which is funny because I kind of thought that. I was like, because this guy's not really been acting like John Locke, and it turns out that the thing that those guys have been carrying around the whole time is actually the body of John Locke. So John Locke is actually dead. Jacob dies as well, and it's like, holy good fuck, what the fuck? So John Locke is actually dead, which I don't know. It's a major character death, but it's like fuck. Ben got away with killing him, and John Locke's dead. We didn't get a proper send off because we thought he was back alive on the island. But I wouldn't even be surprised at this stage if fucking he is brought back or something, you know, because it wouldn't surprise me with this show. But yeah, so it looks like will we be back in in season 6, back in 2004 on the original plane to the island. I'm looking forward to it, guys, but that will do it for this season. I thought it was a bit batshit crazy, but you know what, I like batshit crazy sometimes, and I feel like it was better than season 4. I'll give it. It was a roller coaster ride. It was confusing. There was some points I didn't like. There were some points I really did like. I'll give it an 8. I feel like it's definitely been. I feel like it's definitely one of the better seasons. I don't know. I just feel like there's a. I say one of the better. It's better than 4. It's better than. I don't know. I'll give it 7.5. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. Fuck it. 8, 7.5. It doesn't matter. I enjoyed it. You know what? It's not 10 or 9, but it's good, mate. It's good.